The Indiana Fever beat the LA Sparks 111-87 on Saturday night for their biggest margin of victory all season, with 4 players in double figures, 55% shooting, and a 35-point lead at one point. But on paper it looks dominant while nobody is talking about the box score because Gainbridge Fieldhouse on primetime CBS had thousands of empty seats staring back at the cameras, as fans did not just stay home but made a calculated, coordinated statement, and the WNBA thought one night without Caitlin Clark was survivable, but the empty seats and crashing ticket prices say otherwise. Let's start with the tickets because that is where the story actually begins, as hours before tip-off seats across every section of Gainbridge Fieldhouse were still available, not a few stragglers here and there but thousands of them all over the building, with the cheapest entry point dropping to $5 and floor seats that regularly move for $100 to $200 on a normal Clark game.
You can see, the entire arena is up for sale. For sale by owner, 2 tickets for a make-believe basketball game featuring a collection of unknown players who go unrecognized at family reunions. The cheapest seats for this instant classic are selling for $16. Seats in the lower bowl are selling for less than $100.
Night going for $16. And the market did not gradually soften but collapsed the moment Clark was ruled out and collapsed fast, while game photos told the rest of the story with upper deck sections sitting completely empty and white shots of the lower bowl showing entire rows of vacant seats, and one video circulating before tip-off showed the arena looking more like a midweek preseason game than a primetime national broadcast, as people saw it and shared it while the comment sections.
I'm afraid the boycott will be fully operational when your game arrives. Yeah, full-on dark side, Emperor Palpatine action, Return of the Jedi, Return of the Fandom, Revenge of the Fandom. It's bad news across every single Indiana Fever social media post that's being put out there.
On every Fever post that night turned into a referendum, and the official attendance came in at 16,000, but multiple people inside the building noted that most seats did not fill until well into the game and some sections never filled at all. So even that number needs context because there is a difference between tickets sold and people actually sitting in chairs watching basketball, and Saturday night exposed that gap in real time, which means fans who had tickets did not even watch. And those that wanted to resell them could not find any buyers. The Fever's social media team made things significantly worse for themselves, because the same day Clark was ruled out they posted a calling all Gamecocks promotion pushing an exclusive South Carolina hat for fans who bought tickets to the Sparks game, and the timing was almost impressively bad while the comment section did not just push back but detonated, as fans flooded every post the Fever put out that night with comments like not.
This does not look good. This does not look good. You can see empty seats all over the place. All over the place. The upper deck is completely, you see these seats up here completely empty. Completely empty up here. Barely any people up here. I mean, it's empty seats all over the place, man. You could spot a nickel on the floor. Bad. Look at it. This whole section is empty. The entire section is empty.
Watching, no CC, no party, and first game in 3 seasons I will not watch, and one fan wrote that they were filing their own injury report for Saturday, ruled out no return timetable, and that one got shared everywhere, and these were not trolls or casual observers but the people who had been showing up since Clark arrived, the ones who turned a franchise that used to draw 4,000 fans on a good night into a consistent sellout operation, and these were Clark's core audience and they were.
It's empty, I mean, this is just one shot. I mean, it looks really, really bad. It looks like the damage has been done and the fans have stood up and said enough is enough. Okay, it looks like the fans said enough's enough, man. We're not showing up for this. We got other angles, and it says this is just 5 minutes before tip-off. And here it says the fans are tired and want the Indiana Fever to step up better and protect Caitlin.
into a consistent sellout operation, and these were Clark's core audience and they were done. But the important thing to understand is that this was not random frustration but organized, as fans explicitly called for a TV blackout alongside the arena boycott because they understood exactly where the WNBA feels financial pain. And it is not parking revenue or concession sales but the broadcast numbers and the ratings that networks report back to league offices, so they targeted both. Simultaneously by not showing up to the game and not turning on CBS, hitting them in the arena and on the dial, and that is not an emotional reaction but a strategy. The Fever, to their credit, eventually acknowledged the Alyssa Thomas situation through team president Kelly Kroskoff, who put out a brief statement commending the league for eventually getting it right and saying the organization's focus was on getting Clark healthy, and it was fine but also about 2 days too late to stop
The big story here is, did you see how empty the damn gym was? Did you see how empty this arena was? It looks like Caitlin Clark fans have taken a stand after all and have refused to show up to the Indiana Fever.
bleeding, as the empty seats were the visible damage and the ticket prices were the financial damage, while the ratings, which have not dropped yet, is where this story gets its real final number, because 2 years ago the average resale ticket to a Caitlin Clark game was sitting around $200 with some games hitting $400, as people were treating Fever tickets like concert seats for a stadium tour, something you grabbed early and held on to. But Saturday night floor seats went for $16, and that is not a market correction but a market sending a message in the clearest language. It knows the timing could not have been worse for the league, because this was not some random Tuesday night game on a regional sports network but a primetime CBS national broadcast, the biggest possible stage the WNBA has access to, and if you are going to have a ratings disaster, that is the worst place to have it because everyone is watching the numbers, the advertisers.
Man, if a CBS game has less than 1 million viewers for a Fever game, it's going to be a hell of a statement.
Network executives, and the people who will eventually sit across the table and negotiate the next media rights deal, as Christine Brennan at USA Today reported before the game that analysts were projecting a 50% ratings decline without Clark on the floor, 50% on a CBS primetime game, which is not a dip but a crater. And if those projections hold when the actual numbers come out, the WNBA cannot frame it as a one-off, because broadcasters do not care about context but care about what happens to their numbers when the draw is not available, since that is the risk they are pricing into every future deal. This is the part that gets lost when people focus on the attendance photos, because the real money in professional sports is not gate revenue but the media rights contract, and that is where leagues make or break their financial future, as the NBA's current deal is worth billions annually precisely because their ratings hold up regardless of who is healthy on a given night.
The Great White Hope is still, without a doubt, the biggest draw in this league, at least on television. Unlike the rest of the pretenders in the WNBA, people are not telling Caitlin Clark to get off my TV. Last week, in her game against the Atlanta Dreamers, Caitlin Clark drew over 800,000 viewers on Amazon Prime. Uncle KC, that wasn't Caitlin Clark, that was Angel Reese. My Angel is a huge star.
But the WNBA just showed a network that their numbers are essentially one player deep, which is a catastrophic negotiating position, and the fans understood this, which is why the boycott was not limited to the arena, as comments across every platform explicitly called for people to leave CBS off entirely and not just skip the building but skip the broadcast, and one fan compared it directly to Bud Light, and that comparison is not dramatic because the Bud Light situation worked as coordinated. Consumer withdrawal aimed precisely at the revenue stream and not just the product, and Clark's fan base did the same thing Saturday night, except they had two targets. The Fever's gate revenue and the WNBA's broadcast revenue hit simultaneously. The salary cap context makes this even harder to ignore, because the new CBA that went into effect this season pushed the team's salary cap from $1.
Will go down in history like Bud Light if you screw this up. Woo-wee! Not Bud Light. Got to be more careful.
To $7 million, a 367% jump. while player salaries went up an average of 356% across the board, and that raise did not come from nowhere but from the revenue growth the league experienced over the past 2 seasons, growth that is directly tied to Clark's arrival, the ratings she brought, and the media attention that followed her from Iowa to Indianapolis. And empty arenas and tanking ratings do not just hurt the league's image but undercut the financial foundation that those raises were built on, so the players who benefit most from the new CBA should be paying close attention to what happens when the building is half empty on a Saturday night in prime time, because the money that funds their contracts does not appear out of thin air, and the WNBA begged for mainstream attention for decades and got it, but right now they are watching it walk out the door in real time, one empty seat at a time, so the arena was half empty, the tickets were selling for the price of a fast.
Hey, great job. I'm really proud of you. It was nice to not sweat one out, right? It was nice to come in and to have high energy, right? To play together, to continue to build on a lead. Ty? It's the ultimate, I hope you understand it's the ultimate compliment that we can trust you to start you in a game and to play you these kind of minutes and to know that you're going to show up.
Combo, and the ratings were headed somewhere nobody at WNBA headquarters wants to talk about. And while all of that was happening, Stephanie White was in the locker room getting choked up over Ty Harris. As the post-game footage shows White's voice cracking and her getting visibly emotional, praising Harris for having a career high as she started in place of Caitlin Clark against a team that just allowed Marina Mabrey to drop 53 points on them a few nights before, telling Harris it is the ultimate compliment that the team can trust her and that she knew she would show up, and the locker room is loud while White is beaming like a coach who just won a playoff series and not someone who held a 35-point lead over one of the worst defensive teams in the league, and fans clipped it within minutes and stacked it directly against every strained, reluctant group project compliment White has ever offered Caitlin Clark in front of a microphone, with one fan nailing it by saying a kind word. For Caitlin Clark takes a prepared speech and a hostage video, and that line spread because it is accurate.
She's crying over Ty Harris. Dude, she's crying over Ty Harris playing in a basketball game and doing well. Stephanie White is crying over that. Folks, last year she was crying over Kelsey Mitchell saving her job against a trash Connecticut Sun team, and this year she's crying watching Ty Harris play basketball. Stephanie White is emotionally unstable.
As when White praises Clark, it sounds like she is reading terms and conditions, but when she talks about Ty Harris after a blowout win over the Sparks, she is fighting back tears, and that contrast is hard to explain away. White did not do herself any favors in the post-game press conference, because a reporter asked her about the 4 former South Carolina players on the roster, Aaliyah Boston, Raven Johnson, Bree Hall, and Ty Harris, and White lit up talking about their chemistry, their communication, and how they can hold each other accountable in ways other players cannot, and she said sometimes she forgets they all came from the same program until they break into a Gamecocks cheer in the locker room, and she talked about that group like someone who built something and wants to keep building it, which would be fine except she is supposed to be building around a 2-time All-Star who was averaging career highs across every statistical category, and the presser also had the
This is absolutely disgusting. Stephanie White wept at the performance of Ty Harris. A kind word for Caitlin Clark takes a prepared speech, and a hostage video trade Caitlin now. Yeah, I mean, for Stephanie White to say a couple of nice things about Caitlin Clark, you have to have the fan base go off on her and go crazy and lose it. And she needs to be pretty much forced to say some nice words about CC22.
With joy, were connected, and celebrated each other, and the implication, whether White intended it or not, is that Caitlin Clark's presence disrupts that she brings pressure, attention, and maybe friction, and that without her the team can just breathe and play, which is a dangerous thing to suggest publicly when your fan base just boycotted your nationally televised game because they believe the organization does not fully support its franchise player. Let's be direct about the actual basketball because context matters here, as the Fever beat the same LA Sparks who had just allowed 110-plus points in back-to-back games before Saturday, the same Sparks playing without Kelsey Plum, their leading scorer, at 23 points per game, and without Cameron Brink, the same franchise that Mabrey went for 53 on, and this was not a measuring stick or a statement win, but the Fever doing exactly what any team with a pulse should do against a depleted, demoralized opponent.
Look at this freeze frame, folks. Look at this. Bruh. We're crying over Ty Harris, dude. Folks, we're crying over Ty Harris. We're crying over a 30-point blowout win against a trash Los Angeles Sparks team.
And White's celebration of this performance, the tears, the speeches, and the South Carolina pipeline talk reads like someone who got exactly the game they wanted, with no Clark, no chaos, and no complicated offensive ecosystem to manage, just her guys running her system beating a bad team by 30, and she loved every second of it, while the fans noticed and have been noticing all season, and the fact that White chose this moment, this game, this night of empty seats and crashing ticket prices to show more visible emotion than she has shown all year is not a good look when your star player is home with a back injury she got because a fist connected with her throat. The Sporting News ran a piece after Saturday's game with the headline that the Fever's 2 wins without Caitlin Clark contain one startling truth, and the truth they are referring to is that Indiana's defense tightens when Clark sits, with the argument being that in 2 games without her the Fever held opponents to an average.
But the only thing that stays the same is, oh, I love Kelsey Mitchell. That stays the same. But when it comes to Caitlin Clark, it's like a bipolar type relationship. She's just sitting there holding a rose. She loves me. Well, I love her. I love her not. I love her. I love her not. It's get Caitlin Clark away from this toxic individual, please.
Of 80 points and won both by double digits, but let's talk about who those opponents were, as Game 1 without Clark was the Portland Fire, a team sitting near the bottom of the league in offensive efficiency, and Game 2 was the LA Sparks, who came into Saturday having already surrendered 110-plus points on back-to-back nights, missing their best player, and playing the second game of a road back-to-back, and that is not a sample size but cherry-picked matchups dressed up as a pattern, because Clark's 2026 numbers are 21.2 points, 8.2 assists, and 4.0 rebounds per game, career bests across points, assists, and even key defensive metrics, as she is running the offense, generating shots for everyone around her, and doing it against full rosters, while the Fever went 11 wins and 8 losses with her in the lineup and had the offensive firepower to stay competitive against contenders, but without her they have beaten the 2 weakest defensive teams on their schedule, and the quarterback analogy is the cleanest way to frame it because nobody says Patrick Mahomes is actually better when he only plays against backup secondaries, as you judge a player against the full range of competition and not the 2 worst defenses they happen to face while resting, and the media knows this but is choosing to frame it the other way because it is a better story and better stories get clicks. To be fair about Saturday specifically, the Fever genuinely showed depth with Kelsey Mitchell's 26 points on efficient shooting being real, Aaliyah Boston's 17 points in 21 minutes being impressive efficiency, and Ty Harris earning her minutes with a season-high 16, and that depth is real and matters for a playoff run, but depth performing well against a depleted opponent is not a referendum on Clark's value but a team doing what it is supposed to do on a good matchup, and those two things are not contradictory, while conflating them is exactly what the better without her crowd is banking on you not noticing, and Clark has over a week before the Las Vegas road trip, and the timing of this break matters because the back injury that kept her out Saturday traces directly to the Alyssa Thomas flagrant 2, a fist to the throat that the league initially missed entirely and only upgraded after public outcry forced a review, and the 1-game suspension Thomas received landed on a fan base that was already at the wall, as 1 game for a fist to the throat did not sit right with anyone who watched the replay, and the Fever won the game but the WNBA